Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. We really need to go over the hard numbers of that Charlotte property that I closed on last year and how it wasn't exactly what I expected. If you don't know, I did what's called a seller carryback or Morby method. This is where you essentially have none of your own money in the property to get it completely rehabbed and rent it out and cash flowing. And there's very many things you have to do in order to do this properly. If you want to know about this deal and where I was from the beginning, a lot of things that we're not going to cover in this one, as this is just going to be a numbers video, that video is in the description of this video. All right. Because that's a 50 something minute video. If you really want to know what a Morby method is, go watch that. This is the breakdown though. I bought a property in Charlotte, a 4-bedroom, 5-bath with 2 kitchens. Now, what am I going to do with that? First off, it was easily converted into a 6-bed, 5-bath with 2 kitchens, and it is now a room-by-room rental, as I have a property management company that deals with the tenant side down there, and I just have to still deal with the repairs and use my network down there if stuff breaks. Let's dig into this a little bit and tell you why I'm not too happy with how it turned out. I purchased this property for $450,000, and the seller is now the bank in second position with a $175,000 loan that I took out. And how does that break down? I used a DSCR lender for first position, taking 80% loan to value, and that was a $358,500 loan. I also have that $175,000 loan from the seller in second position. Now, that loan is a 5-year loan at 0%, but it is amortized over 30 years. So I have a nice low payment, and I'm going to have a balloon at the end of that 5-year mark. So we're going to cover out at the end of this video how I plan to exit that. All right, the hard numbers. First position loan, a $358,500 loan at 7.375%. And that monthly payment, PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, is $2,779.58. My second position loan, that balloon from the seller, that is a $486.12 a month payment. And while we're at it, let's talk about what I am bringing in for rent for the 6 bedrooms, which is well under market. I did want to get them rented quickly so that I had some cash flow coming in on this property. I'm bringing in $4,392 a month. That is about $1,500 under what market rent is or projections that we had from looking at the rentals in the market. Now, maybe I was a little aggressive on those rents. We're going to find out, but I do plan on upping rents as tenants' leases expire, and as they move out, I'll get that room closer to market rent. Either way, with that, utilities, which I have to pay since this is a room-by-room rental, and ADT security, which is an extra, but I do use that for my property, I'm averaging about $3,686.68 of debt on this property every month. So if I'm only bringing in $4,392, that's only a $705.32 spread. That's actually a lot tighter than I would hope for. That's not a lot of money, and I'm really not going to be cash flowing on this property if you really dig into it. If you think about $705 a month, yeah, that's nice, but things break, tenants move out, there's vacancy, you have capital expenditures, that money is going to be wiped out. I'm not expecting any of that money to be actually money that can go in my pocket. All of that money I make every month off of this property is going to be cash that's going to sit in reserves for repairs, and or when I have to refinance out of this loan, I have money to refinance out of this loan. That's that second position loan I was talking about. All right, now let's really dig into where all this money went, as I borrowed more than the loan amount. If you think about it, a $450,000 purchase price, I borrowed $533,500. There's something missing there, right? Let's go over that. All right, so we're going to break down from the $575,000. I did need to bring $49,974.55 to the table. That was my money from one of my businesses that I brought to close this out. As if you watched that other video, there's reasons that you have to close it out completely with the first position lender before actually having that seller kick back that second position note. That leaves us with $125,025.45. Subtract $68,000 for the gift I got as far as the paperwork looks, but that was repaid. That leaves us at $57,025.45. Now, to get this property to my first renter moving in, repairs and holding costs were $35,961.87. That leaves us with $21,108.58. Now, guys, this is where I misjudged and honestly am a little irritated with myself, as I really thought I was going to be making money off this deal after it was all said and done. Instead, I did have to bring a little of my capital to the table. Repairs went a little over budget, and I guess I was pretty aggressive with my rents, and they weren't quite as high as I wanted. So I missed a few things. But even honestly, horribly calculating this deal and rents, I'm still up. But I did have to put some money of my own in this property for that to happen. And here's where it came from. I had closing costs, right? We didn't talk about closing costs. And on this DSCR loan, it was pretty expensive debt. My closing costs were $35,948.66. So after all said and done, to my renters moving in, I was out of pocket $14,840.08. I mean, on a purchase this size, I'm not mad about it. I really was expecting to actually be closer to the $12,000 to $15,000, maybe even $20,000 profit margin. But there were some unexpected things that did make that rehab go a lot over budget, including the mold repair was more than I expected. And unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, I did a lot of things to this property that I didn't need to do now, but they would have been problems in the near future. So let's knock those all out before tenants move in, bite the bullet, pay that up front so that that's not a problem going forward. Because most of you know, working on a property when tenants move in is not an easy thing to do. If you can do it, most of it when they're out of there completely empty, it's a lot easier to work around and it's so much simpler to navigate everything with your contractors. And well, we dug into some things when we were doing some fixes, and well, when you dig into things on a rehab, you find more things wrong. And that became the thing that drove me a little over budget. Either way, I'm still happy I made this purchase. It was very creative. It's still working out for me. Now it's still very new, but let's see where this goes. And we'll continue to follow up because this is a very creative strategy that you can use to get into properties with no to little money. Now, as I was supposed to be in this property for none of my own money and actually get paid to buy this property, which until I really sat down and ran the numbers, I honestly thought I did. So it's very important when you're trying to do these no money down strategies like seller carrybacks or subject to deals that you're bringing financing to the table. Anything that you're trying to do without any of your money, having reserves is extremely important because what happens when things don't go right, you need to be able to bail yourself out and protect your lender. One bad deal where you're borrowing someone else's money and you can't pay it back could be the end of the career for you. You're not going to be able to borrow money because when people look into you, they're going to see that and it's going to be a problem. Believe me, I'm a private money lender and I run a private money lending business. I'm not lending to people that can't pay their debt back. And I'm going to find out if you didn't pay your debt back. Let's break this down just a little bit further too. Where all that money went, that was my money that it took me to get this property rented. My repairs did come in at $29,744.77. Transactional lending, that's money that I borrowed from my other business, and my gift money, it cost me $3,850 in fees for that. Alcove, my property management, for locks and inspections, $515. Holding costs, I have appliances that cost me $107. Internet, $139. ADT, $169. Duke Energy, which is electric, $125. My gas company, $127, and water, $75. Those are rough numbers. It comes out to $35,000, $35,900 and some odd change. So let's get into my exit strategy and how I plan to get out of this balloon payment that I have in 5 years. Because you guys, I don't know if you ran the numbers, but I did. And it's going to be a pretty penny to pay this off come 5 years. I borrowed $175,000 at 0%. So my payments are going all to the principal. It's all going to be paid to the principal of this loan, which is nice. But with the payment so low and it being 5 years, I'm only paying off $29,167.20, which gives me a balloon payment of $145,832.80 at the end of that 5 years. And realistically, I can't wait for 5 years to figure out what I'm doing to pay this off. So I'm going to have to pay it off even a little bit earlier. So what do you think I should do? Comment in the description of this video if anything that I talk about here either isn't lining up in your eyes, or if there's a strategy that you could think of for my exit that I'm not thinking of. But my exit strategy number one, and honestly, with market conditions today, who knows where we're going to be in 5 years, this isn't what I'm banking on, but that's what I'm hoping for. I am hoping that I do have enough appreciation in this property, as a lot of the surrounding areas are being built with newer properties and it's slowly moving into where my property is. So maybe I'll get some forced appreciation from other surrounding areas, new properties being built, and forcing appreciation, and having enough equity in that property to do a cash out refinance, or at least my second position lender paid off and have one loan, again, 30-year terms. And depending on where rates were, it might be even a better loan than I have now. Best case scenario, not likely to happen in my opinion. So we're going to start there. Next, well, Mr. Seller, because he's the bank now, but he was the seller of this property. I paid this loan off for 4 years now on time with no issues. Would you be willing to extend this seller financing agreement into a new seller financing agreement? Maybe I can give you a little interest. What do you say to that $145,000 being carried over to a new seller financing agreement at say 3 or 4%. So my payment's going to probably be around the same because I've paid a lot down, but now I have a lesser amount I'm borrowing. So we'll see. I don't think he's going to bite on the full amount, but part of why I don't want to take any money out of this property and all the money that is profit from here is either for repairs or reserves. I may be able to talk him into, would you take a chunk of the payment, say $40,000, $50,000, and seller finance 80,000, 90,000, somewhere in there. Maybe he'll take a chunk now and we'll make another 4 or 5 year seller finance agreement for the remaining amount. He could deny either one of these or all of them. Either way, I will probably be able to get cheaper debt from him than I would be from a bank or a private money lender. So that's scenario number 1 and 2/2.2. Because, well, there's two exits there between trying to take the whole debt and getting it and getting a new agreement drawn up, or partial paid off and a new agreement drawn up with the rest. All right, exit strategy number 3. Crap, I'm running out. Actually, that might be it. Oh wait, no, I have more. I have plenty of things I could do with this property. Next, well, we're gonna go kind of back to number 1, and I might have to do what's called a cash in refi. Maybe there's not enough forced appreciation, and maybe I could refinance that out into long-term debt with a new loan, depending on where rates are. And maybe I have to put a little bit of my own money in there in order to get it to the loan to value that DSCR lender is willing to finance me up to. Hopefully by that time, there's a lot of ifs, but say rents are exactly the same and I somehow can't get my rents up anymore, which I don't believe will be the case. It's going to be harder and harder to get the new structure to work. So I might have to put some more money into this deal to hold the deal. That's okay. Realistically, not my favorite option, but I would do it over this next option. And I will have this opportunity available if it comes due. I could always look for a private money partner that's willing to pay off my second position note and take equity in the deals. So say they might have to bring 145 grand to the table to pay off that second position lender. And what that might be at that point, say, we'll just say 30% equity that it's going to cost them to buy into this house. What if I give them 50% equity in order to they're getting 50% equity of the house. They're owning half of the house with me in a partnership, but they're only paying 30% equity for it. So it's just gaining more equity than you're paying for. That is an option. And then we have all the cash flow split 50-50. Now we're going to have our operating agreement of our LLC drawn up to exactly how that looks, because a lot of that money is going to still need to be put in a reserve account for when things go wrong, when there's things that break, when there's capital expenditures that we have to deal with, or when tenants move out and there's vacancies. So all those things are going to kill cash flow, and we do have to make our reserves built up strong enough so that we can weather those storms. And there is not going to be a whole lot left if the rents are where they are today. I don't believe they will. We're going to up rents, but I don't know how far we're going to be able to up rents. Either way, between those 4 exit strategies, I'm pretty confident I'm going to have one that's going to pan out just fine for me. I really don't want to go to a private money partner, which I actually had the option to do that from the get-go of this deal if I needed to. I was able to pull it down myself, so why would I bring a partner in? And partnerships can be a little iffy, so I would rather do something on my own if I can and hire out the things that I don't know how to do or don't want to do, then bringing a partner to the table. But if it comes down to keeping this property or losing this property, I sure am going to bring a partner in rather than losing it, because say 4+ years of stabilization, proven rent, and also proven payments that I've made, I'm going to pique some people's interest as a private money partner. And it's not like this is just my first rental property. This got me to 11 doors. So I've never been late on a payment to date. I have never missed a mortgage payment to date, have been late. All my bills have been paid on time. I've never defaulted on anything. So 4 years down the road, pending me still doing that same thing, which I'm pretty good with managing my money and my bills, I don't see being a problem. I'm probably going to have a pretty good track record of somebody wanting to be a private money partner with me and just bring the money side to the table. Either way, this is what I'm thinking with this property that I bought on Honeywood in Charlotte, North Carolina. I would love to hear your thoughts on especially my exit strategies on what I can do, or where you think I could have done some things better along the road. All right. Really curious to see what you think and tell me if you would have done this deal.